Hi, I'm Alana Scott. Today we will be discussing the 1948 presidential election between Harry Truman and Thomas Dewey. Many people know that Truman came from behind to win this election. What few realize was that a key aspect of his victory came when Harry Truman changed his communicative style. As we will see in my documentary, Harry Truman's shift in speaking style and the 1948 presidential election. The Republican candidates were very confident entering the 1948 campaign. Many experts predicted a Republican victory, while newspapers and magazines nationwide were already speculating about a Dewey presidency. Part of this confidence may have come from the fact that the Democratic Party was divided, with Henry Wallace running on the Progressive ticket and Strom Thurmond with the Dixiecrats opposing Harry Truman. First-hand observers of the election also noticed the trend toward Dewey.
There was a large interest by the population in general, and general consensus was that Dewey was really on the winning streak. Well, it seemed to be a foregone conclusion that Dewey would win, and it was very interesting to watch as it went along.
Truman's predecessor, Franklin D. Roosevelt, was a master communicator. Truman himself relied heavily on manuscripts and had a very dull speaking style, as we see in this speech from 1945.
There are voices of defeat, dismay, timidity among us. These I challenge. They do not speak in the tradition that made this country great and kept it free. They will not guide us to success, these men of little faith. We cannot shirk leadership in the post-war world. The problems of our economy will not be solved by timid men mistrustful of each other.
As a response to Truman's poor communicative style, advisor Clark Clifford recommended Truman experiment delivering speeches extemporaneously. Clifford felt that speaking extemporaneously would allow Truman's naturally engaging personality to shine through to his audience. As defined by University of Pittsburgh's Department of Communication, extemporaneous speeches are developed through outlining ideas, not writing them out word for word. Thus, the speech is not read from a manuscript or memorized ahead of time. Extemporaneous speaking does have some risk. Since the exact word choice is not predetermined, the wording of a speech is a bit unpredictable. Despite the risk, Truman tried this method for the first time in early 1948.
Republicans, you know, are expected to nominate a candidate for president. They're having a lot of trouble deciding on just who that candidate for president will be and for just what he stands. I want to say to you that for the next 4 years, there'll be a Democrat in the White House and you're looking at him.
After this speech, Truman wrote, quote, "Looks as if I'm stuck for off-the-cuff radio speeches. It means a lot of hard work, and the head at 64 doesn't work as well as it did at 24. Despite Truman's early success, he still faced long odds leading into the 1948 Democratic Convention. His acceptance speech represented a major test of his new extemporaneous style.
My duty as president requires that I use every means within my power to get the laws the people need on matters of such importance and urgency. I am therefore calling this Congress back into session on the 26th of July. Now, my friends, if there's any reality behind that Republican platform, we ought to get some action out of the short session of the 80th Congress. They could do this job in 15 days if they wanted to do it. And they'll still have time to go out and run for office. Senator Barkley and I will win this election and make these Republicans like it. Don't you forget that.
After this rousing speech, Truman took his extemporaneous style across the U.S., traveling over 31,000 miles and delivering almost 400 speeches, including a stop in Muskogee, Oklahoma.
The decisive battle has arrived. The people are going to have to choose one side or the other. The Democratic Party and I have nothing to conceal. We are proud of our record. All right, I'm doing it. Now, my friends, with the help of God and the wholehearted push which you from a continuation of the 80th Congress and from misrule from now on, I must have your help. You must get in and push and win this election. The country can't afford another Republican Congress. I'm more than happy to join in this Labor Day celebration. I'm more than happy to be present when the CIO and the AFL are marching together side by side in the interest of the welfare of the country's citizens. If you get an administration and a Congress unfriended to labor, you have much to fear and you'd better look out.
A memo from the Truman White House indicates that at each campaign stop, Truman used a carefully planned outline. This outline contained 5 main points that Truman would expound upon. In contrast to Truman, Dewey used a pre-planned word-for-word approach to his speeches that resulted in a smooth delivery but lacked spontaneity.
We're going to have a spring house cleaning in January. We're going to have the biggest untangling, unsnarling, weeding, and pruning operation in our history. And it's going to be an inspiring job. We're going to do it as a team with a teamwork government. America can do this job that's ahead of us. Not the bureaucrats, not the government, but the free people of a free America.
Well, I thought Thomas Dewey was very smooth, and I felt that he played to the emotions of the people.
Thomas Dewey, he was a Republican, and of course the Republicans were always for the rich, he said, and he didn't have too much charisma. I voted for him, but he didn't have much charisma. And
Truman's extemporaneous style, while not as smooth as Dewey's, contributed to the perception of an honest, straightforward candidate. Public speaking scholar Alyssa Shub has noted, because the specific words used to express ideas are being chosen at the time of the speech, the speaker can more easily adapt to feedback and create a sense of connection with the audience. For the same reason, the extemporaneous speaker will appear conversational and sincere. The University of Pittsburgh Department of Communication states that extemporaneous delivery gives the speech freshness, for it does not sound canned or over-rehearsed.
Well, he came across to me as being very straightforward and honest.
But after a while, he was an honest man. He was a really honest man. He wasn't put on any dogs or anything. Just a common guy, and he was for the public, really, not for the rich man. And so he was a pretty square shooter. And
now, in the age of prepackaged, teleprompter-based candidates, it is very unlikely that we will see Truman's extemporaneous style again. Thank you, and I hope you have enjoyed my History Day presentation.
I'm happy to be here talking to you once more from the same old stand. This is right where I expected to be. I don't know whether you remember it or not, but I told you on the 19th of February last year you were looking at the next president, and you are.
There were a lot of people at that time who disagreed with me. I'm sorry to have disappointed them.